Cobra Kai.
Good morning. Today we will present an interview with the teacher,
De Gracia.
the line teacher,
De Gracia.
de Gracia. First question.
Sure.
Can you give an example of a common logistics problem and how it's solved?
Well, in my logistic life, I've been having a lot of situations, but you have to be a problem solver, that's one of the skills that you have to develop. You have to be very quick and punctual to solve the problems. I've been having always issues all over the world, especially when I was in different ports, difficult ports, such as Incheon in Korea, where there was nothing, no installation, no support for logistic operations in order to get some goods in 10 containers. And you have to be very resourceful, you have to coordinate very punctual in order to get these things done. So there are always in logistics a situation that you have to solve on a daily basis. You have to be prepared for it.
Okay. Second question. What advice would you give to someone considering student this degree?
My basic consideration is to start developing a lot of skills, especially soft skills. More than technical skills, that it will go through the job training. The soft skills are more important. You have to be cold-hearted, you have to be analytical, you have to be always resourceful, always ready for action, work under pressure, be multitasking, and things like that. You have to develop develop these soft skills because it's part of the profile. A logistic guy needs a profile, and one of the profiles is to get into soft skills. You can get technical skills like understanding WMS, warehouse management system, or understand ERPs, enterprise resource planning systems, and things like that. But the more important thing is the person, their attitude, their skills, the soft skills that they can develop interpersonal relationship, which is very important. And one of the things that we are working more is the synergy, to understand synergy with everybody, to be resilient or adaptable to any situation. Because in logistics, you will have a lot of changes on a daily basis. But besides that, I have to tell you, you have to be a team player all the time. You don't work only for your team, but you work for a whole operation, and you are part of that team, the whole operation. And you have to think about teamwork all the time. That's it.
How does logistics impact the everyday life?
Logistics, it doesn't have any impact at all. We are sort of like a support to all the operations in many things through supply chain. Supply chain is sort of like a scope that we have in our mind. It's a diagram, graphically, how you develop different movement from the origin of the raw material. It goes to transformation. It goes later on to a distribution center. It goes to a point of sale, and finally to a customer's or consumer. And this is a scope where you are going to have in the supply chain different logistic points, and that's the way it will impact if something happens when the supply of raw materials. If something start being scarce in that area, then we will affect later on the supply chain. For example, if there's no problem with the rice growers, and then there's no rice, and then you will affect later on until the consumer, and the consumer is going to be asking, which creates the demand, where's the rice? What I'm looking for. You know, it happens all the time. You have to always be always focusing in different providers or suppliers. So you have to have a nice scope. Also, in the supply chain that you have, different suppliers, not only one. When you got a primary supplier, it will affect you right at the end, and you have to be very ready for a second supplier or a third supplier who can assist you. It's going to cost you a little bit more, which it will impact in cost at the same time, but at the end, you are satisfying the needs of the consumer, what you are looking for. That's it.
What are the biggest challenges in logistics today?
It's not the chances, the biggest chances, it's the more development, because now the chance in logistics or the opportunities that we have in logistics is the implementation of AI or technologies in our life. The logistic guys are supposed to be into a new world that is going to be automated in the future. But little by little, we are getting into semi-automation. But we have to be resourceful on that, using different technology devices. For example, lately in logistics we use RFID drones for the warehouses as well. That's what I teach all the time to the guys. It's the new technology that we're involving in the real life, and also we use visual picking, where you have to wear goggles in order to go and select the material or the goods that you're going to be sending to the different customers. And this is very interesting because we are getting into technology lately. And that's the reason why the logistic guy is not only a man or a person that is moving a box from one point from point A to point B. This guy is more into technology as well. You have to be very focused to acquire a lot of information or skills, technological skills, to be successful. So I'm always promoting the guys to get into AI, understand a little bit of it, because it's coming up very soon in Logistics 5.0.
Good morning, teacher. My name is Alan. My question is, how can explain the concept of supply chain management?
Well, what I mentioned before, supply chain management is a system. It's a complex of elements. What elements is different actors. We have actors in supply chain, believe it or not. The main actor is is a guy who gets the material from what we call raw material. You go to, in order to develop a table or a chair, a wooden chair or a wooden table, you need to get the raw material from the woods. In the woods, you will get the lumber, and then you have to transfer the lumber in a windmill. You have in a mill where you are going to be changing or transforming that into different what we call elements or components for the material, okay? And then he will send it to a distribution center. After the production of this lumber transformed into different pieces of wood, then you will send it to a distribution center. After the distribution center, you will send it to a point of sale, and finally, the point of sale will send it to the factory to do furniture, the furniture factory. And the furniture factory will be doing the assembly of different pieces of wood in order to do the table or the chair that you're looking for, according to the specifications that you have. It's very important. Also understand what else you require for the fabrication or the production of a chair. What else I need? For example, nails, glue, varnish, you need paint probably, or lacquer. And those elements will be coming from different providers. So you have providers. Important thing is what we call in supply chain is understand the provider of the providers. and then it's a sequence that you understand. Because if something happens to the provider of the provider that he doesn't have the material in order to get, for example, the production of paint or lacquer or thinner, then we have a problem that is going to be impact your supply chain. It's important to understand the dynamics of supply chain. It's sort of like a web. It's beautiful because it's sort of like a spider web going in different directions. By the end, it will go to create something that will require the consumer. He's the man who will create the demand. We create the offer, and this guy creates the demand. That's what it is.
How important is sustainability in modern logistics?
In modern logistics, now we are getting into sustainability, which is very important to understand. Now, in the past, we were working more into getting these things done for a consumer, and that's it. Now, you have to work on what we call lately in sustainability is a circular economy. What is a circular economy? Is sort of like what we can do in reduce some materials that they are leftovers from the production, or sometimes the inverse logistics that we have. For example, the carton boxes. You will get from the carton boxes, you will recycle as well. But if, for example, in what we call lately circular economy, the circular economy, for example, we are working more into develop new materials from the waste, which it makes it very important, you know. For example, from a bottle, a glass bottle, you convert, you start making that as a sand, and that sand it will go to another process, and you create blocks like the cement blocks, and these glass blocks.
How long have you been a teacher?
I have 10 years or more or less in logistics and time and port sector.
Is it important to study logistic operation?
Because I consider that Panama is a logistics center and she offers many type job and opportunity in this sector.
What type of job graduate of the grade?
Because I can work in logistics center or for example, passenger ship.
I learned how logistics work with its process, concept, and important.
Hi, my name is Fernando Martinez. I learned that career what man branch the work is the very important in logistic operation. Thank you.
I learned that teacher tell us that this career is good and we can work in different areas.
I learned to have a brief lesson about what logistics, what the methodology is like before versus now, and listen to the teacher about the challenge of using technology among others.